So what do you need to know about a company before interviewing? I mean, obviously, if you want to talk about Disney, that can go down a whole path of conversation, discussion. But since we just have a few seconds here, really what it comes down to is LinkedIn, talking to people about those that work at that company and what their experiences and what they're looking for. But we also like to use what we call the Ben Duffy questions. And that is taking an opportunity to figure out what are those questions that the interviewer might be asking you, and preempt it. So, for example, for us, when we're working with clients, we might say, so you might hear that Disney's difficult to work with, or you might think that Disney's very expensive, too expensive to use. And we already have the answers for that, which then puts people at ease. So when you're going through that process to learn about the company, don't just learn about what the company does and who they are, but how do you fit in and what you think they might ask you during the interview so that you can be prepared right away to set them at ease.
I think one of the best things you can do going into an interview is actually have understanding about like what the company does, but not only what they're doing, but like what are the hottest things that are happening for that company right now. When I was interviewing at AwardCo, they had just gone through a round of seed funding and raised $65 million. And so I made sure that that was one of the first things I hit on in the interview to show that like I was keeping up with AwardCo and I was excited about it. And that's something that my hiring manager has mentioned to me was impactful to them in that interview process, was the fact that I was bringing up things that were relevant and I had an understanding of not only what that seed funding meant, but then also like what it projected AwardCo to do. So just make sure that you're like, look at their website, get familiar with their voice, like what do they look like, what do they feel like, how do they portray themselves, and then look up news articles, look at their latest posts, look at their latest blogs. So just kind of envelop yourself in the company culture so that you can make sure that you're speaking the language that they speak.
In my coaching, I feel like one of the best things you could do when you're looking at a new company that you're thinking about joining, take a look at like their mission, take a look at what they're trying to change or do in the world, and ask yourself if that excites you. Ask yourself if that's something that you're passionate about, right? You don't have to be totally, I know there's a lot of like tech products out there. It's like, I might not be super into like dental software or something like that, but at least I like the vision and I like where the company is going and I want to be a part of it. So I always encourage people, look for mission, look for culture.
So before you interview with a company, it's essential to know, what the culture is like. A culture is something that is, in my opinion, more important than what you're actually doing in your job. Because whether you fit in a culture or not really affects the way that you perform in your role. So really do some understanding on what the values of the company is. What products does the company have, and how are they doing right now? It's really important to also know the job, know that you match up well with what we're looking for, and bring that to the table, and you should be smooth sailing.
It is crucial to do research on the company you're interviewing for. You can very much tell the difference between a candidate that looked up and learned about the company prior to the interview and one who didn't. Being able to talk about the company's mission, vision, and values, and what the company believes in, what the company backs, what the company is about, just adds to the story that you're trying to tell. If you can find ways to tell your story and put it in line with the company's mission, vision, and values, you're already trying to present, or you're already presenting a way that you fit into the company rather than the company fits into you. Being able to speak word for word about the company's mission just shows that you're not doing this to chase after a dollar amount, you're not doing this to chase after a certain field, but you're doing this because you care, you're invested in the company, so you're likewise inviting them to invest in you.